Once upon a time, two boys grew up playing hockey in the village of Terrace, British Columbia. One of them went on to play in the National Hockey League. The other became a comedian. Now, one flies planes and coaches youth hockey. The other is still a comedian and owns newsstands. This is their podcast, Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian.
Hello, Jeff. It's a special episode because it's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the playoffs. And we have a special guest. Alec Martinez is here to tell us all about going to the playoffs because I've never been, and you apparently have been, but some of us haven't won a cup.
Not in this decade, or this. Well, and the thing is Marty's such a big deal. We usually keep people in the waiting room in suspense, and then we bring them in, but we couldn't do it today. It's like, here it is. This is as good as it's going to get.
Orange slices purgatory or what?
That's it. Yeah. We couldn't leave you out there because we know you've been to Gymboree and you probably had a horrible disease and we didn't want you to go down.
Yeah, I know. It's only a matter of time till I get some flesh-eating amoeba picked up from one of those dirty mats, but they always they bust out the disinfectant, so it's all good.
No,
Yeah, they rub down about 15% of the equipment that,
It can't be any worse than an NHL locker room or any locker room for that
That's funny.
matter.
I was just thinking about that. I was just like,
Yeah.
One kid's got they have a little bit of a ginger shot afterwards. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A little bit of green juice. They should probably set that up. A little smoothie station on your way out. Just hit a little immunity juices. Hey, you're gonna need this later.
You're gonna want this.
Maybe they should just be connected to a CVS so you can just pick up some antibiotic, pick up a Z-Pack as you roll out the door.
It's like awesome. When you go through a duty-free, when you're doing international travel, just have you walk through the quick care right to the pharmacy. You'll be all set up for the next visit.
I'm sure CVS just picked up on you saying that Gymboree and CVS should be connected, and you'll see one connected to the one next week the way they work.
Oh yeah, it's the collab we never knew we needed, right?
Yeah. I never had no idea.
Yeah.
Had no idea. Don't get your blood pressure checked. Jump on a trampoline. CVS.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
The reason you were there because it's family birthday week, right? Is that what it is? So
yeah, my daughter turns 1. So we got people coming to town, and my family's in town, and I mean, my wife's family is local, so they'll be coming in tomorrow. But yeah, my wife's slinging cupcakes right now in the kitchen.
Slinging.
We got slinging. Yeah, it's the house smells like a bakery. It's kind of dangerous actually. I'm probably gonna have to bury a couple of those before party time tomorrow. But no, yeah, there's a lot going on in the Martinez household, but it's all good.
Well, thanks for taking time out to come talk to us about the playoffs. Are you excited about it? Seeing how you are recently out of the league, are you still excited about the playoffs, or are you like, meh?
Yeah, I'm actually, it's like a different kind of excitement, like this is the first year I kind of feel like going, like how I felt when we were going into the Olympics, I think it helps that you have friends there and you have somewhat of a vested interest, kind of spread around the league. Like that's kind of what I do now is that I mean, I obviously follow the teams that I played for, but then I also follow my buddies, right? And so all of a sudden, you know that feeling that they have right now because I mean, it's like Christmas morning, or Christmas Eve today, and tomorrow, the best time of the year is coming. So I'm really excited, and I can just actually sit there and enjoy it, and I don't have to worry about feeling good to play the next day and doing all the treatment and all that. So I'm pretty excited to see, there's, I think, a lot of really good storylines I'm sure we'll get into, but, I think there's a lot of excitement around the league and the playoffs this year.
Let's start it off. Let's go all in. Who's going to win? Jeff, Alec, you guys give us your who's going to win it all.
You don't get so you're going to get
what a lead off.
We're not going to build this up.
We're going to go backwards.
Okay, well,
we're going to end it with who's out first.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna do a breakdown of all 16 teams that are not playing anymore this year. You know what? I don't know if we need to start there. We could just talk. I mean, Marty, if you want to throw it out there, I'd have to think about it for a minute. But you know what?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I can say one team in particular, but I think
you can't.
Yeah, I can't. It's too hard. Like
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, I guess it's not March Madness, but it's too hard to pick a team. There's so many good teams, and then there's just so many things that go into it in term like just luck, puck luck, injury luck. Um, I don't know, like goalie gets hot at the right time. There's just so many variables, but I think like the overarching thing for me is that it's cool to see how many teams in it this year that haven't been in the last couple years or even more. I think what is it? Is it Buffalo hasn't been in 14 years or something like that? But I don't know.
Never even heard of them.
I see I'm excited to see a lot of these younger teams and then they've been you know, going through the maturation process and all of a sudden they're on the big stage, they're playing hockey that, not that the regular season doesn't matter, it obviously matters, but playoffs are a different animal here and it's cool to see all of these different young groups now make that play or make the playoffs and get over that hump and I'm just excited to see what they can do.
What was it when your first time into the Stanley Cup playoffs? Did anybody come up and give you like, some sort of, hey, this is what to expect, this is what's going to happen, or any sort of like pep talk beforehand? I remember Jeff's. It was somebody drove a red Corvette. That was what he was told.
That's a that's uh that's a great story. But Marty, we'll have yours first because I'm sure it's a better
I
story
don't
than
know if
mine.
mine's going to be as good as that. Mine doesn't involve a red Corvette.
Yeah, we'll people
Go
are
ahead,
more
go
interested in
ahead,
what
tell
you
it.
have
Just
to
We'll
don't
get
say.
drop any
into
I
that.
names.
threw it out there. We can't bury the lead. So I'm in Detroit and getting ready to play, and I got called up from first time around. I guess maybe it was both from junior to we're playing Edmonton with Gretzky and Messier and all these guys, and guys were really good. And they decided to put me in for I'm not sure, I can't remember which game. So I just got there, and the next game I was playing. And so Neil Smith, this great guy, Stanley Cup with the Rangers. Uh, he comes up to me, and I'd started my pilot's license, right? Because all the kids in junior, they all got paid to go. They got money to go to school, and I said, well, how about some? This is like going to school. I'm going to flight school. How about some money for a pilot license? So they go, yeah, we'll give you some. So I'm doing my private pilot license. And so we're doing all that, and I get called up, and Neil comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, Sharp," says, "What's this here? I hear you're becoming one of the Wright brothers," and I'm like, and they're all over me about my flying. But anyways, I said to him, I
That
go,
sounds an awful lot like something you would say to somebody in
"Yeah,
in your position. Yeah.
I know. What's this?" So he says that to me. So, anyways, I'm like, well, I got to get off this because I don't want, I don't need this before the game. So I said to Neil, I go, "Do you still have that red Corvette?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, I drove it to the game tonight." And so Neil was the assistant GM in Detroit at the time. So we started off talking about flying and end up talking about his Corvette.
That's
And that was
awesome.
my pep talk before my first playoff game was trying to steer away from taboo of aviation and anything to do. He might as well have said I'd become a ski jumper going off the 90-meter hill. We might as well have talked about that too. And so we started talking about this. I said, "Yeah, you brought your Corvette." "Oh yeah." He says, "I drove in with the convertible down," and we had a 20-minute conversation about his Corvette. So
Oh,
that's
man.
that's my lasting memory, and maybe that's why I ended up in aviation and out of hockey. But yeah, so it's
That's a pep
since
talk. That's a
yeah,
pep talk to
that's
let
that
somebody
was
know.
it. That was it. Like I thought he was going to come up and go, "Hey, Sharps, listen, you got to watch out for 99." You know, like and hey, Messier, or like these are some tendencies. Like the coaches, we all had our coaches, and they talked about, what the Oilers were doing, but I thought he might come up with a little bit extra because Neil's background as an assistant GM was also in scouting. So I thought he'd share some information with me. And the information that we shared was talking about his Corvette, which I was actually pretty happy about because, when you're getting on the ice to play against those guys, which I was lucky enough to play them earlier in the year. So I had some idea of the pace and how and what they were all about. But when you drop the curtain on the NHL playoffs, which by then was the conference finals, that was big time. So I don't know how you prepare for that, Marty. Like, I don't know how you tell a young guy, hey, this is what it's going to be like until they get out there and get a couple of shifts under their belt and try and control that adrenaline. And I mean, there's guys that have 5 hits all year that have 5 hits in their first shift in the playoffs, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Did you played a lot of young guys in Vegas with White Cloud and Haig and those guys, and in LA? What kind of, how would you share your experience?
Well, before I get to that, your story with the red Corvette, it was the conference final, so we're probably thinking like May. Because I was gonna say, I was like, if this guy's going top down to the rink in April in Detroit, like I grew up there, that is a bold play. Like bold play. Like
That's
this
a
guy's freezing his ass off
That's a
after the
Neil
game.
Smith move if I've ever heard one.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jumps
man.
off smiling.
Neil had the good lid back then too. He could get away with it. Probably just up a little bit so the air came off the top and just kept the quaff just right.
Nice.
But
Keep
yeah,
keep the volume in the loaf. Yeah.
he doesn't have a head.
It's raising like sourdough. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's right. The longer you leave it, the more. So, I mean, it only took him 20 minutes to get to the rink, but he took 40 just to make sure it was just right.
That's good. A couple extra hot laps around the Joe before you pull into the back lot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We have no chance now.
No, like I thinking back about it now, like I wish I had, like some awesome story of like an older guy like sitting me down and saying like this is what to expect. But I think a lot of it is that there's really no, you kind of mentioned it, there's no really any other way to prepare for it other than just to do it. I think just knowing that it's an entirely different animal. I mean, like you mentioned, the guys that didn't have 5 hits all year will have one the first, 5 hits the first shift. It's just the epitome of all hands on deck. It's guys, staying within I would say staying within their role, because you don't want guys doing anything that, you want to play as a team and you want to play, in terms of your team structure and all that. But guys doing things that aren't, maybe they aren't necessarily doing it in the regular season, and that's hitting, that's blocking shots, but that speaks to the intensity of the game. And we had a really good older group when I was in LA. I imagine, Matt Green would have given me some form of pep talk or something like that. He was my D partner. He was an older guy. He's my mentor. Both Michigan guys, and we're still buddies to this day. He's actually could throw a football out this window and probably hit his house. But yeah, it's like I think that's something that you kind of, as a younger guy, if you're fortunate enough to have older guys around you, it's sort of just like a shut up and listen and watch type situation, be seen, not heard, and you use their example that they set, and you have to know that, going into an environment like that, it's the details matter even more. I mean, tenfold compared to what they mean in the regular season. And I think my first one was in the Shark Tank too. So back then, that place, like low ceiling, that place was rocking. And so, I mean, before the puck even drops, you can feel the energy and all that. And being on the road is obviously, you try to feed that and channel it the proper way. But yeah, being in that environment, I mean, if you can't get excited for that, well, then it's like check your pulse. Like you're in the wrong gig. But yeah, so I wish I had like a really good sit down story, but that's also part of the coaching staff of preparing you for that and knowing young guys and how to approach a situation like that. But I remember we lost in the first round of San Jose my first year in the playoffs. That was that 10 or 11? I think it was 11. But really fun, good experience to get, my start in the Shark Tank.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. Now we move over to the first round. You've been not given a pep talk. You've lost. The next year you come back Are you just is it a different vibe in your whole body coming into the playoffs the next year?
Well, I think so. I mean, you have like that same level of excitement, but um, I think it's just like anything. Once you've gone through it, you know a little bit more what to expect, and you kind of lean on some of that experience. And that run was very different. I mean, we had just squeaked into the playoffs. We were the 8 seed that year, and I don't want to say we just squeaked in, but um, I think if we would have won like one of our last 3 games, we would have been the 3 seed and actually played Chicago instead of Phoenix playing them. But my point being is that we come in as the 8 seed, and then all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of the Vancouver Canucks, who had just lost in Game 7 the year before. They won the President's Trophy, and I mean, we talk about who's going to win this year. I bet you a lot of people that year picked Vancouver, but
Hmm.
so I guess like I think part of it was like I was young and dumb too, where it's like maybe you don't really quite understand the gravity of the situation, which is
It's
like
perfect.
which is a good
Yeah.
thing, you know. But I mean, there was a few of us young guys that was, we had gotten a taste of it the year prior, but then this was, I mean, obviously not, we didn't know what kind of run we were going to go on at that point in time, but it was an exciting time for a lot of us young guys. It was kind of time for our team to take that next step. We had gone through the coaching change that they had let go of Terry Murray and then brought in Daryl Sutter. So that was like a renewed sense of energy. And then everything that Daryl brings. But it was an exciting time. And then I mean I know it's fast forwarding through it all. It's like Jonathan Quick absolutely stood on his head. I mean, obviously went in the Conn Smythe, but the performance that he had, I've talked about it actually a lot in retirement and in avenues like this, but that guy was making saves that like no, not even hockey player, but like no human being has any business making. Like some of the stuff that he was doing, like the one where he like takes his glove hand and he reaches around back and grabs it and like the I mean, I just was at Gymboree, but it was like like
That's funny.
some of the moves, it's like I think he might have developed in the when he was that age. But yeah, just like looking like, just these acrobatic athletic saves and an incredible performance. But
And it's such an interesting move to do when he has another arm on the other side that he could have used.
yeah, yeah, it's almost like yeah, I don't know what the reasoning is, but it makes sense, I guess,
Yeah, it
in
makes
his
sense,
head, and
but
it
at the
makes
same time,
sense like because he gets the job done. But
yeah.
But yeah, but that run was like that was interesting because we started every series up 3-0. And I remember sitting at the end and we hadn't played a game 6 until the game we won in the final against Jersey. And we beat Vancouver in 5, we swept St. Louis, beat Phoenix in 5, and then beat Jersey in 6. And I remember sitting there at the end and with my eyes crossed because I was probably so hungover. As a 24-year-old who just won a Stanley Cup. But I remember joking around with some of the guys and actually like having this genuine concern where I'm like, did I even get the playoff experience? Like I didn't play a game 7. Our backs were never against the wall per se. I mean, obviously there's momentum swings and within a
Right.
game and within a series, but like we never even lost a game on the road until the Stanley Cup final. And so I'm like, what just happened kind of thing. And fast forward a couple years and we certainly that the opposite end of the spectrum in 14. But yeah, it was
You got the experience that year.
sure did. Yeah, I
Hey,
got plenty of
Marty,
it there.
Marty, just talking about injuries or bounces or saves. I remember the Vancouver series, and there's one goal, and you can probably, when I say one goal, you'll probably be able to pick it off right away that you guys scored that I thought, along with the saves, set you on your way, and that was Stoll when he scored. I forget which. Well, if you only beat Vancouver, so was it in
That was,
Game 5? Was that
yeah,
Game
game
5?
5, it was the
Was
two
the
on
winner?
one and he went top bunk. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I look at, and you're talking about a player like that who had a good career and then all of a sudden elevated to score one of the biggest goals, second biggest, because you still have maybe third. You have the two biggest goals in Kings history, but
About that.
yeah, there's no question. I watched one of them, but I got to say, like, when did you kind of at 24? Like you're sitting there going, well, I didn't. Like you're still young and you're playing these really important games. But when did you kind of get the sense that after getting knocked out the first year, the second year in the playoffs, you guys had something going there? Like, was there a specific time or a game or a shift?
It's funny that you say that. I remember uh, being in the car. We were driving home, and it must have been like 2 or 3 in the morning. Um, we were driving home from the plane when we landed after we beat Vancouver in the first round. And I believe it was like Trevor Lewis and Kyle Clifford and I, because we all lived together, and we were driving home. Funny thing is, we actually got pulled over. Uh, and I think the cops probably thought we were drinking, but we were all in like our full suits and stuff. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I can't remember what it was, but we were just like, yeah, no, we just got off the airplane, and they're like, oh, you're LA Kings, like great win, blah blah blah, and then we just went on our merry way. But I remember sitting in that car, and we were talking, and we were like, obviously that was pretty wild. We just knocked off the President's Trophy winner, and we beat them 4-1, and we were like, do we have a shot at this thing? And it's like you always go into the playoffs, and I think as you get older, like you really or you once you have that experience, like if you really do have a shot or not. And not to say that there isn't there's something to be said about if you got a chip in a chair, you got a chance. But I think that, going into playoffs some years you have maybe a little bit better feeling than maybe you would
Because
otherwise.
it had been a tough season, right? It hadn't
Yeah.
been the greatest
Yeah.
season. So
Yeah. And so we were sitting there, and uh we're like, do we really, like, is this a thing? And it was just 3 young guys that had never really gone through it. And we're like, I really think that if we can keep this going, like maybe we do have a shot. But then it's like, well, we still have 3 rounds to go. And it's like there's just this what seems insurmountable like mountain ahead of us.
yeah.
But it was just again us being like probably a little young and dumb, but and then riding the high for going 30 and a 25 down at the beach. That'll get you pulled over at 2 a.m.
We're gonna be the kings of Manhattan Beach. It's gonna be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't believe you guys pulled over on the 405 at 2 in the morning and to get out of your suits, right? Couldn't have thought about that at the airport. So
Yeah.
one of the highlights of our trip was getting pulled over by Chips, California Highway Patrol, and then them
Yeah.
letting us go.
You probably
Um,
got you probably
Which
got
would have
nailed.
been a bad look for me because a lot of guys like to tell me that I looked like Eric Estrada. So,
That's
so
really funny.
I looked nothing like that guy. But
They,
no,
wa- they
speaking
what
of
you
good
would have
yeah,
loafs,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
You
he's got. Yeah.
he's still got I did morning TV with him a couple of years ago, and he still looks exactly like that and out of his mind. Anyways,
yeah.
you would have been pulled over probably in El Segundo, right? You probably would have come right out of the
Yeah, I
airport then.
think I think it was over. It was like we took the beachway from the airport, so yeah, I think it was like right in Manhattan Beach. But yeah, I
Uh,
think it was because I was trying to get home and
yeah, they
and
probably
trying
want to
to
know
get to bed. But yeah,
why are
and
these
it's
hoodlums
like,
coming down to this rich area? Oh, they're wearing suits. Look at you guys. Must be doing business in Switzerland at this time of the morning.
yeah, exactly. We're bankers.
Yeah.
Love that.
Uh,
So that's and when you get to Vegas and you guys go through all that in Vegas, are you uh, is it completely different? Because how many years older are you when you get to Vegas?
So it's funny. I won 9 years after uh my well there I guess there was a 9 year gap in between my second and third. And so, I think it was a little bit of a different team. There was a lot of guys on that team that hadn't won yet. Um, but let's see, there was a couple of us older guys. I guess Petro would have won in St. Louis. Myself, Barbashev would have won in St. Louis. So there's a handful of guys. So, but the thing was, is that we were at that stage, it was, we obviously carried a lot of expectation. I mean, the Golden Knights always do. I mean, look at the recent 5 Pacific Division championships in 9 years, which is crazy, by the way. But
And just
uh,
as many coaches.
yeah, that's also true. Um, but yeah, we had that expectation, but there was a I think we started to feel the pressure a little bit too. We had lost twice in the conference final, and I think that it was time to get over that hump. So there was an air of what's the word? I guess like determination, like, hey, this is like we're not doing this again. We're not bowing out in the conference final again. Like it's time for us as a group. Like the organization and has given us all the tools that we need. We have a team that can win. It's time to, actually go get it done. So there was I think that we had a little bit of an air of confidence too. We like, and I mean that responsibly, nothing like crazy or anything like that or too over the top. But I think that we knew the team that we had. I think Butch that year had tweaked a lot of things, changed our systems that we felt comfortable with. We had gone through, it was a little difficult at the beginning, like it always is. A coach comes in, changes the system, and there's a little bit of hesitation. Guys are trying to figure it out and trying to make it a habit and things like that. But I think that we felt comfortable and we were playing pretty good hockey going into the playoffs, which I think is a really important thing. There's no switch you can flip, but
Hmm.
yeah, it was like, hey, this is time for us to get this done.
Like it. Jeff, should we move into, because I know we don't have a ton of time. People have birthday parties, people have
They've got to
jobs,
eat the
people
rest
have
of the
things.
cupcakes. So
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Oh
So
no, you're
let's
good. You're good.
let's should we go into like just kind of previewing the games that are coming
yeah,
up?
yeah. Well, let's
Hey,
start.
let's just talk. Just let it go organically. Like we
Yeah,
don't,
let's
unless you
just.
No,
guys have a time restraint.
no,
Like,
we force things into this. This is
No, we
not an
got
organic show. This is
okay,
not.
Ian's in Winnipeg. He's got lots of time.
I've got
okay.
I've got a driveway to shovel.
Ooh,
Oh shit,
tough
you got to
break.
get Flats over there help you
Oh
out.
my
He's
God.
not doing anything today. What? Well, just talking about. Let's just talk generally about the series. And I mean, we're all west normally, so we can start in east. Um, how about the job and what like Pittsburgh and Philly, kind of the been there, done that with the up and coming kids. Take like Pittsburgh versus what like what do you see there, Marty, as far as a series? Kind of no one saw Philly coming. Like we talked about Buffalo earlier, no one saw Philly getting there this year.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh Philly. I mean, I like that matchup just because I think of like the Pittsburgh Philly back in the day, like with the
Hmm.
Jeff Carter, Mike Richards, and then obviously Crosby, Malkin, Letang, all those guys on that side. But um, I'm really interested to watch this one. I think you have two teams that from the outside were not expected to be there. So two teams that have a chip on their shoulder, two teams that don't like each other. Um,
Fans
Obviously
don't like each
in-state.
other.
What's that?
The fans don't like each
Yeah.
other.
Oh,
So
they certain. Well, Philly fans don't like anybody. I don't even know if they like them like their own fans,
they
but
don't like themselves. That's why
yeah.
they hate everybody else. It's a bad habit.
No, that I mean, and that's the thing. Like that place, like, is it still called Wells Fargo? I don't know, but that building's going to be rocking. It always is in Philly, um, but yeah, I think it's just two young teams that are trying to find their way a little bit, and they've taken that next step, and um, again, just
Philly's a little bit younger though, right? Philly's a little bit younger when it comes down to it.
yeah, yeah, they might be a little bit younger. Yeah, and they've made some changes the past couple of years, like some trades, bringing in young guys like Zegras and Drysdale and all that, and then you have like some of the older guys in Couturier that has been around for a long time. So I'm interested to watch this one just because it's going to be, I think, a really emotional matchup. And then, again, two teams that are pissed off that they were sort of counted out,
Hmm.
and then now all of a sudden you pit them and they're going head to head.
Yeah, kind of an ironic thing about this series too is you've got the Battle of Alberta kind of moved east with Vladar and the kid from drawing a blank on his name. I should from Edmonton that got traded out to Pittsburgh unless Seelovs plays,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So
Skinner. Yeah.
Skinner, my apologies
Yeah.
to Stuart Skinner, but so you got Vladar and Skinner if they end up going to back and forth. They played against each other a lot. The teams in front of them are totally different, but those two have gone at it. So you've got a guy that Philly brought in to right the ship, which he's done, and then you got a guy that needed a new change of scenery in Skinner, which he got in Pittsburgh, and a tip of the hat to both organizations for finding a way. The East was tough. It was tough for them to get in. Philly went on a crazy roll. Crosby and friends have reignited it, and they've got some good depth pieces. So, that should be a fun series too. Kind of fun to see those two teams going at it, and Philly back in the playoffs. So, I think, I always love to pull for Sid, but I think Philly could cause some problems, and that might be a team that might be able to get to another round.
Yeah, I think another guy to watch too on Pittsburgh is Anthony Mantha. I played with him kind of from deadline to playoffs in Vegas, but he signed I think a 1 year deal as a UFA with them, and he's scored a lot of goals. What is it? Did he have 40? Maybe he had 30 plus, but yeah, I'd be interested because he's a bigger body. See if he can throw that around a little bit, and then put a few in the back of the net for Pitt.
Interesting. Which team you think's tougher? Like stronger, meaner? Bleh.
Ooh. Um, I don't know. I guess I would maybe put like the edge with Philly just because it's Philly, and then they have Tocchet behind the bench. I mean, obviously they got a guy that's super emotional, um, and feeds off that. He's a good motivator, but I don't know. Pittsburgh's got the same thing too. So kind of going back to what I said with like the chip on their shoulder for both teams, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
They're
Be
pretty
tough
even.
to say there's someone much tougher around than Sidney Crosby either, with what
Mhm.
he's like done and what he's capable of. And as the chips, as the games go on, they're going to get tighter and tighter, you would imagine. And that's where he seems to really be able to raise another level. And then Malkin, he seems to really be engaged. So if you look at superstar side of things, you might give a little bit of edge to, obviously to Pittsburgh there. So we'll see. That will be a fun series.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they've got those guys that have won 3 cups, and they know what to do. So
Yeah.
when the going gets tough, like those guys really buckle down and perform.
They definitely have. They definitely have some experience on their team. Whoa, let's move
What
in.
about, let's move up to
No,
Buffalo and Boston.
don't like it.
What do you think, Marty?
Um, I well, the two
Yeah,
sides of the coin. I like Buffalo. I mean, obviously they've had a lot of success this year. I think they've scored a lot of goals. They have their decor is super super active. I'm hoping that doesn't, because obviously when you're really active offensively, especially in playoffs when we talked about how the little things matter, and little momentum swings, that I hope that some of their aggressiveness doesn't come back to bite them. But at the same time, they're the hottest team since like those stats since like December 9th or whatever, whenever they made that management change. And it's
Mhm.
it's outrageous, like it's awesome. It's really fun to see them back in the playoffs. And um, I'd be interested to see how their style of game, how they do over the course of a 7 game series. But I mean, they've got so much offensive firepower, and their D are so active that I'd be surprised if these weren't really high scoring games. But as for Boston, um, I like them. I think that they're really well coached. I played with Marco Sturm, and actually played for him later on as an assistant here in LA. So I think he's been really good for that group. I mean, obviously you have Swayman and net. That's a big X factor, but yeah, it's again kind of a team a team in Boston that they were going through a bit of a retool, I guess, and against a really young team in Buffalo. So Short answer, I don't know, but I'm excited.
I think that might be there's a chance of that being the most fun series to watch because you do have that young team in Buffalo, and then you have kind of this thing in Boston where they go a little rogue every so often. So it could be really fun to watch. And
Mhm.
when it comes down to coaching, I'm curious if I don't, I'm, it could, who would you pick on the coaching duel there? Because it's such a different style of like Marco's kind of new wave, and Lindy like goes old school, doesn't even believe in video. So
Yeah. Yeah, which is a wild thought to me. But
totally
yeah,
wild.
I don't know. Like the coaching thing, I don't know if it's necessarily coaching style that comes into play in the playoffs. I think it's adjustments and how I guess how willing and how well you're able to adjust to some of the other things that the teams are doing, or if they're trying to shut down or they're trying to exploit some form of a weakness. I Cassidy was really good at making those adjustments in series, in game. So was Daryl Sutter in the years that we won. Um, I think that it's weird. It's like you try to find this balance of playing your own game and staying true to what got you there. But
Hmm.
but there's also if you're too stubborn in that and you don't tweak things or adapt a little bit, well then eventually the other team can take advantage of that, right? So um I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily an old school versus new school thing, but it's like who can make the little adjustments and then who can execute on them.
And you've got matchups which you don't worry about as much in the regular season, where people are getting 10-second shifts or they're winning the draw and getting off the ice, so you can get the matchup you want. On that series, I'll just say that Buffalo, Boston, we've talked about them all year. Unbelievable job by Marco and that team to get themselves back where the Bruins always are, which is in the playoffs. Discipline for me with Boston's huge, huge, huge. But Buffalo, they are kind of a high flying act, but they went out and addressed some toughness at the end of the year by getting Stanley and Shen and Carrick. I don't know if Carrick will be back in, but they've got those other two. But you're right. So if Shen and Stanley are both in, one of those young D have to come out. So it'll be really interesting to see. I think Buffalo showed that they're kind of they've got some other guys that can take care of themselves as well. But that'll be really interesting because Boston, the big bad bees, they're back, and the question is does the high flying hockey outscore? Like the discipline is going to be a real problem for Boston unless they're able to drag Buffalo into that kind of game. So, how about Montreal, Tampa? What do you got?
Never heard of him.
What are you thinking
Um,
there?
I
What?
think Tampa's kind of similar to Boston, I think, with a little bit of a retool. They don't have to run into the Panthers that are just, what have they played them last 2 years or three? I don't know. Maybe they're blending together, but um, I mean, Tampa, they're playing probably some of the best hockey I'd say that they've played in the last couple years, especially going into this. I mean, Kucherov obviously is a huge X factor. Vasilevsky being healthy. Um, I don't know. This one's again, this is another team. I know that they were in the playoffs last year, Montreal was, but another young team that's trying to take that next step. It'll be interesting, kind of a veteran group versus a younger group. I think that Montreal, they've got a lot of offensive firepower. They obviously have Hudson on the back end that's super active. I would kind of equate them as a little bit high flying, a little bit more kind of like Buffalo. Tampa, they have the ability to do that, but they can also play strong, defensively. Um, I mean, if I had to give an edge, I would say Tampa with Cooper as a coach too. I mean, St. Louis done an unbelievable job as well, but I think it's just a veteran group that's been around a long time playing against a younger group. But I mean, who knows? I could be
And
totally wrong.
Tampa's a little bit heavier, if I'm not wrong. They're just a little bit bigger. built, right?
Yeah, I'd say they're a little bit bigger, and I think that means a lot in the playoffs. Like being strong down the middle and being a bigger over the course of that's what I mean by it being a different animal. And Sharples knows like it's the physicality in the playoffs, a 7 game series, and then if you want to get it done, 4 of them, like all of those little things, all those little bumps, all those little hits, they add up and they compound throughout a series and then throughout a playoff. And so, you know, not to say that a smaller team can't get it done, but that if you're a bigger team and I think that goes a long way in the playoffs.
Yeah, you got.
Speaking of playoffs games, tell him, Jeff. Tell him how many was it? 9? Was it a 9 game series in
Oh
WHL?
yeah, that's right. We used to play 9 game series, Marty in the Western Hockey League. So we
What?
beat Kamloops one year in 9 games, 5-4. And if you want to talk about like life changing, life altering, well, you went back and forth between Portland, Oregon, and Kamloops, British Columbia on a bus. We might have flown one time. I can't remember, but
For
yeah, we had
game
best of
9.
9. Spokane. We played Spokane one year, best of 9, and like you're in game 6, and the series isn't even anywhere close to being over. So yeah, you
Nine
don't have
game
to win
series.
4. You got to win 5. So
What do you
yeah.
think in game 1? You're like, I've
Oh,
got an eighth of a season ahead of me, possibly. Like, my goodness.
the first 2 games are just a gong show. Normally, I don't know if they're still doing it, but I'm like, guys, we couldn't figure out something better.
They're not
Yeah,
still doing it. They're not doing 9 game series. Trust me, they're not doing it anymore.
no, well, the players in junior have way more, I mean, power than they used to have. Not that the
Take
ownership
it down
doesn't
to
have.
8.
Yeah. So
What's the travel schedule? Is it 3-3-1-1-1?
no, it would go 2-2-1-1-1. Yeah, I think
Two, two,
one, one,
one,
one.
one,
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
one,
yeah,
one. That
yeah. I
is
think so. I
outrageous.
think that's what it was. You know what? I have to get someone that I played with or someone from that era to send a note
Can you
into us
phone a
that.
friend right
Oh
now?
my
Like, I
God,
need that
yes.
answer. That is
I,
That's
outrageous.
You know what I'm gonna do? I can get you that answer, but not right now. I'll
Okay.
get it for you if I see you next week here on
Okay.
the big show. But
that
uh,
schedule is put together by the bus company.
oh my God, it's
Yeah, no
terrible. It's
kidding.
terrible, terrible. And just a quick finishing thought on Tampa. I think the goaltending is obviously in Tampa's favor, and again, a little bit more veteran team. But we all know playing in Montreal, right? I never played in Bell Center, but in the Forum, crazy stuff can happen there. So we'll see. And who's our next one in the East?
Hold on, back to Tampa.
Okay, sorry.
Tampa's also kind of Montreal South, right? When it comes to fandom, it's got this kind of crossover. Montreal people liking Tampa and Montreal, so it could be weird. It could get weird.
Yeah. Hey, I like it when a series gets weird. Makes it
Yeah,
more interesting.
Yeah.
yeah. Who likes a boring 9 game series?
I'm
Other
just
than a bus driver.
Yeah,
Maybe he doesn't
guys
like it.
couldn't
The
even
owner of the
sit.
bus likes it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
guys couldn't even sit up after a while. They just get on the bus and lay on the floor, right? Because they took every other seat out. They just sit there, and they couldn't even sit in their seats because they're so sore. Um, just a gong show, But the Western Hockey League's come a long ways, I think, since then.
9 games. I mean, at that point, why don't you just make it 11?
I know. Hey, just do 2 series in one and do it 18. We're gonna
Yeah.
have an 18 game series
Yeah.
or 17, make it 17, and
Yeah.
the first team to 9 wins it. Yeah. So anyways, LB
How many games were in the actual season?
72 back then.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but here's how the Western
I
Hockey League went. So when I started in Kelowna, I don't remember as much, but we would go. Okay, we'd go up and play Kamloops, say, let's see, on a Wednesday. Thursday, so we drive overnight, and this isn't always the way it was, but Thursday you would. Well, I know this one for sure. I'll stop because in Kelowna, but Portland we'd go drive Wednesday, play Wednesday night in Spokane, drive overnight into the morning Thursday, day off, Friday in Kamloops, drive overnight to the ferry, play Saturday night when they had the team in Victoria, come back off the ferry Sunday morning, and either play in New Westminster or Seattle for an afternoon game and go home. It's just insane. Just insane. Yeah. So,
That'd be insane on an airplane.
yeah, you know what? That would have been nice to be on an airplane back then. We would have thought we didn't know what hit us.
Well,
But
maybe if Neil Smith was able to tell you you're eventually going to have your pilot's license.
yeah, they could have. I could have.
I thought you're saying Neil could have drove everybody in the Corvette quicker.
Put the top down. Come on, boys, let's go.
Oh gosh,
Put
you
your
guys
stuff on the
pull
rack.
into town, you wouldn't be able to get your helmet on.
No, no. Yeah,
Just 14 Larry Robinsons.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Oh, and boys would have been all over at the Corvette, right? Back then, bunch of
yeah.
teenage boys. I guess guys.
Okay.
I don't know. But
So we're
anyways.
moving on. We're moving on. Ottawa. Then there's silence.
Who are they playing?
Yeah.
I don't know who they're playing. Who are they playing? Carolina.
You gotta-
Carolina.
Oh my God.
You know,
But
no one wanted to go there because they're like, okay, there's one other series, but
I knew it was Ottawa. I didn't go and remember. Carolina's always there. Carolina's ready to be beaten again.
Yeah, this one's interesting too. I think Carolina, they must be having that same feeling. They've lost what in the two of the last three conference finals.
mhm.
They got to be having a similar feeling to what I alluded to with Vegas, that we had going into 23. And um, yeah, it's like they've always been right on the cusp there, but then, for whatever reason, just can't get over that hump. I think that they play such an aggressive style, that I don't know if it they run out of steam towards the end of the playoffs, or if it's just one of those things where if you're so aggressive, then you're giving up. Eventually you're going to get some, the puck's going to bounce, not your way. It's gonna go. And that was kind of the mentality that we had. It was different. I never played a playoff series against him, but that was sort of what the coaches had told us, and what the mentality we had going into a game playing in Carolina, is that knowing that they were going to be super, super aggressive, that you just had to keep things simple, chip it by them, just hope for an odd man rush, because eventually, over the course of time with a sample size that aggressive gets bigger and bigger, they're going to end up, giving you an opportunity. So I don't really know what the reason is, but they're clearly doing something right. They've gone, so deep in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, but it's a group that knows, what to do. But Ottawa is also, I mean, they, other than Buffalo, they might be the hottest team in the East at, towards the end of the
Mhm.
year and the stretch. And obviously you have Brady Tkachuk that is going to bring a whole different level of energy. We saw that, in the Olympics that he did in the Four Nations. So again, another young group that's kind of gotten over that hurdle and gotten into the playoffs, and excited to see what they can do, especially against a team that's consistently been deep into the playoffs the last few years.
Yeah, when something's consistent all the time, you got to break that though, and this might be the time that Ottawa breaks that, right? So
Well, you've got, you know what though, in that, and Marty said it earlier about the in-game adjustments. I mean, if you're good at them, you know what you're going to get with Carolina, and it might overwhelm you the first game or so. But when you get the same thing over and over again, which is what they do, and they do it really well, I think Travis Green's done a great job in Ottawa. And so that could be, and depending on the last time they saw each other too, it might not have been that long ago, but it's not like they're a team out west that kind of sees them every once in a while. They do see each other a touch more. So yeah, Ottawa could, if they get some saves, that's what they're going to need, because Carolina's going to be on them early. If they can just weather that storm. Carolina's a classic team, the first 10 minutes, right? You just got to make sure you kind of weather what they bring and then settle into your game. So
it's like a hurricane. You just got to get into the middle, right? So
that's right. That's where it's the calmest.
that's where it's
Yeah.
come. Second period, that's when you can do your damage. That's when it's come, right in the middle.
What about we got can't keep Marty forever. We got
Yes, we can. We can do what we want.
yeah, well, I can't
That's
keep me
fine.
for you guys keep it going after. We got to get to we got
He
to get to
blamed it on
your
you, but then the truth
yeah,
comes out.
I
You
put my
can't keep
timer
Marty
on.
forever. I
It's
gotta
already
go.
like an hour. I'm like, okay, how about let's talk about your old team and your old pal, uh, one Matt Green. And hey, did you guys ever call him nickname Al? Remember Al Green, Lord Bank?
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Matt Green.
Jeff, not good with nicknames.
Matt Green talked about LA and what they have to do against Colorado.
Well, I mean, that's Colorado's the big juggernaut, right? That probably no one wanted to play, but you can't. That's a slippery slope because you can't go down that road too much because if you want to get it done, you got to beat good teams anyway. But yeah, I mean, LA, I'm really happy that they were able to get in. You know, it was a little touch and go again, another coaching change. Um, but on a personal level, I was just really happy for, a few of those guys that are still there and Kopitar in particular. I went down to, well, I guess a couple games at the end of the year for Kopi, one during his Legends night, but then also down for what we were hoping wasn't going to be his last home game at Staple or Crypto now. I still call it Staples.
It's always Staples.
Always Staples, yeah. So obviously really happy for him, but yeah, that's the Chicago or excuse me, the Colorado team is going to be um that's going to be a really tough matchup, but I think that they've brought a little bit of jam. I think Scott Lawton has been really good for them. I think that's probably the way that you have to beat Colorado. I think you have to get under their skin. You have to frustrate McKinnon, and they have a decor that is more than capable of doing that. They've got some big bodies, and I think the keeping it simple and then really relying on the speed of Kempe and Kopitar and Panarin, that top line. I mean, Panarin's been unbelievable since he's been traded there, and he's kind of, he's given, I think, a little juice to, his line mates and that team. But yeah, I think the if they want to get that done, they got to keep it simple and they got to try to get under their skin and just really frustrate the top guys at Colorado.
Hmm. And then Colorado should just kind of do what they do. I don't know what he would say about Colorado. Just, I don't know.
It's like it's
Keep
like
two eyes on your coach.
when you speed up your TV sometimes to catch up. That's what it's like watching Colorado at times. And I mean, you got two of the best players in the world, Makar, and you gotta, and you always say you gotta try and make those guys redirect them or bump them where you can. But it's pretty tough when you got a guy that moves like that, especially in McKinnon and that. But yeah, LA, you give them credit. They found a way to get back in, and if you don't pull for Kopitar, I don't know. I mean, I just think he's been such a class act for the game. So nice to see him get a little success on his way out the door because this is it for him, right?
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
what about Minnie and Dallas? You have a lot of experience with both these teams, Marty. What? I mean, that's just going to be last man standing there, right?
Yeah, I mean, if there's one that you pick is that's going seven, it's probably this series. Um, I think Minnesota's really interesting. Obviously they've been pretty active. Bill Guerin's adding, Hughes clearly, but they have and my boy Nick Foligno playing with his brother, but uh they're very skilled, but I would call it hard skill. They can play the tough part of the game. And I think that that's what makes them really intriguing in a playoff setting like this. I think Dallas, I mean, they they were essentially neck and neck, and I guess they I worked one of their games, or it was the Chicago Dallas game. I did color for them, and at that point, I think they had won 12 in a row, or excuse me, they had won 11 of 12, and their only loss was like an overtime loss to Colorado. And so it's like there's another team that again, has been in the mix and just haven't been able to get it done and get over that hump the last few years. And um, but this is probably the toughest draw that I think that they could have had in this first round. And I'd say if I was most excited about one particular series, it's probably this one, just because
Hmm.
it's two juggernauts, and that's what the league wants, right? You know, in that first round, that's why they have. I know that there's been a lot of talk about, you know, how they seed for the playoffs and the wild card and all that stuff. But I mean, this is prime example. This is what the league wants, and this one's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mini is you hit it. I think it's Mini's hardness and owliness against can Rantanen, do anything close to what he did last year? And since can they kind of get by? But Mini's hardness to me is I can't think of a team that they're probably number one of the, I mean, yeah, Colorado, obviously, and maybe Tampa. There's some teams out there, but if you're picking a team that you'd probably not want to see to start the playoffs, I think Mini would be that team.
I think both of them were probably disappointed that they had to see each other. And I'm sure you didn't read it on Minnesota's face because they have Quinn Hughes that doesn't show emotion because he's got whatever's going on there. But I wouldn't be happy if I was on either of those teams to get that. Meh, meh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a
Well,
good point. Yeah, they're probably both thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
But again, like I mentioned, that's a slippery slope because it's like you can't hope for certain matchups because as soon as you do that, then
true.
yeah, you're going to be playing golf, you know, 10 days later.
yeah.
But I'll tell you
Um,
what, I'm going to take the Corvette, put the clubs on the back there, drive it in. It's going to be fantastic.
what are you talking about? We're taking the Corvette and going to the airport. Um, what about Anaheim? We'll save the VGK and Utah for last. What about Anaheim and Edmonton? I mean, there's another team, Edmonton. You've seen a lot. Uh, you also saw Anaheim on their way up. What do you got there?
Uh, Anaheim's really, really fun to watch. I mean, they've got a young group, and I think that they made a couple of those moves, like getting Carlson and bringing in a veteran presence that's been around, that's won before. I think that that shores up a lot of their, you know, their need on the back end, but then also just in the room. You know, you have Kreider there too, that has had a lot of success. Granlund as well, but um, I'll be interested to, you know, I think it's really cool to see what Quenville has done there too. He's really allowed those guys to play within their game and play their skilled game, those young guys, but then also is like, you know, kind of created an environment of, you know, accountability, responsibility. I would still consider them a little bit more high flying side rather than, you know, maybe that old school defensive mentality. But going against Edmonton, you know, with the Edmonton thing, and there's plenty of hoopla around them with the goalie situation. You know, McDavid, like, is he unhappy? Is he happy? Does he just want to win? You know, there's all that stuff that the media likes to play up about them. But I think that this is a big year for the Oilers organization, and if they don't, you know, if they don't get this done, and I don't have any sort of inside information or anything like that, but I think it's going to be difficult to keep those top guys around if they don't get it done, because I think that that's truly at the end of the day what McDavid wants. He wants to be able to win and get that done. So I think this is a big playoff for them. I really like some of their ads. I played with them in both Connor Murphy and Jason Dickinson. I think that that's an element um, that they really needed. That everyone, you know, it's no secret that they really ride their horses there and they're top guys, and you need to do that in the playoffs. But I think adding guys like that are perfect ads going into a deep run. And Dickey's, you know, really sound defensively, takes pride in it. He's good on draws. He's a great PKer. And then Connor Murphy, the same thing. Strong defensively. He's going to bring it every night. He plays with a little bit of a snarl. He plays physical. Um, so I'm interested to see how this one goes. I think, you obviously have to give the edge to Edmonton, but I would not at all be surprised if all of a sudden the Ducks are advancing to the second round, because that's what they've done all year. They've surprised everyone. They've been neck and neck
Hmm.
with Vegas. They've been in that top spot in the Pacific, but this one's going to be a fun one too.
Yeah, I think for Anaheim, the veteran ads are the huge. I mean, we've watched the Oilers, and I agree. I really like Murphy, and Dickinson's been around a long time. Kapanen and Podkolzin came in last year and really kind of helped fortify. They just need a good supporting cast in Edmonton, which they've been able to do. Get to the conference finals finals the last 2 years. But to me, for Anaheim, they're veteran guys, and you brought up Granlund, Holy guys like that. Kaloran, just if those guys for Anaheim, I think those guys have to be really big, and that doesn't necessarily mean scoring goals. I just think Kreider, obviously you need him to score, but just kind of help steady the ship, because it did take on a little bit of water. And then Coach Q, you can never kind of bet against what he's capable of. So it's an interesting series.
And if it comes to gambling, you don't want to gamble with Q. He's a gambler.
I
He
don't know.
loves.
Hey,
I
Marty, you want to hear a good story about Coach Q? So we're sitting in a hotel in Vegas.
and he pulls up in a red Corvette.
Yeah, almost. It's me, Busky, and Randy. We're watching the game.
Did
You
you just throw me
guys,
out of that? Did you just throw me out of that? It's not.
are you in on this? Were you there
Yeah,
too?
I'm in.
Oh,
I'm in
fuck.
a. We're all sitting on a couch
Yeah,
in the
we're sitting on the
Bellagio
couch. Sorry that I'm
in the middle
really,
of the. I love that you
because
threw me out of that story.
yeah, you know what? I got to throw you back in it. That's really bad on my part, but you were there too. And the reason it throws me off is because Busky, who's no stranger to being aggressive, he stands up about halfway through the game. You guys and the Rangers are in the game you guys ended up winning. He ends up standing up, and the look on his face is like he's going to just off and stroke this guy. And I'm like, whoa. And I look, and guy sitting right in behind us. Four of us are on the couch. The guy sitting looking in between us is Coach Q. And
And
and so
he's yelling. He's yelling at the TV. Shoot, shoot. He's like getting into it. He's all into it. God damn it, fucking shoot. And that's when Rod was like, "What's going on in this?" Oh, it's Q.
yeah, and so Rod got up, and so the next thing you know, the five of us are on the couch. His wife and kids are the happiest people in Vegas because now they can go to the room and go to the pool, and we're watching you guys play the Rangers, which you happen to score a goal in that game. I can't remember which one, but it was a big one.
You must have
And
heard Coach Q.
yeah, and Coach Q, and I'll never forget what he said about Daryl and playing you guys, because you guys were going back and forth with the Hawks at that time. He said it's really tough to coach against Daryl. In-game adjustments are great, but there's one thing he does every game, and he starts as captain. So Coach Q knew that he was going to start Dustin Brown every game. So if if he had something he liked on the road or at home, he could adjust and at least try and get the hop on you guys in the first shift. But that's our Coach Q story, Marty. And you're in on that story too, because we were watching you
Weird.
score the game winner of the Stanley Cup. So that's pretty
Well, I'm,
cool.
I'm surprised he was that into it. If
Yeah,
we had
we all
just
were.
knocked them
Yeah.
out, but I guess that speaks to him. He's a hockey guy. I love it.
He's definitely a hockey guy, and he was way into it.
Yeah.
We were like, whoa. And he was standing behind us, and it was almost like we were on the bench, and he was telling us to get out there and do something. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. He was awesome. He was awesome. And so I was like Coach Q, and so his experience in the Edmonton series, we'll see how that goes. What
It's another
about
one. It's another fun one that you want to watch too. There's so many like
oh,
there,
8-7?
there's very few games that you don't want to watch in this at the beginning.
Yeah, there's a few of them that I kind of wish that these were 9 game series.
Marty?
I'm sure the bus company does
I don't
too.
know if anyone will make it out alive in that Dallas, Minnesota one, but if it were 9 games, but
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a few
Yeah.
I'd like to. I don't think the players would want to though.
No, no. But I mean, if you put the right amount of cash on the line available at the end and maybe. What about Vegas, Utah? Kind of a fun story with Utah. And of course, we know Vegas pretty well. I mean, you spent a lot of time in the organization. What do you got there?
Um, well, I worked the last game of the season for Vegas in the broadcast, so we talked about it briefly, but this is, not necessarily about the teams, but themselves. But I think that this is going to be a really cool environment. I think that these are two of the buildings that will be absolutely rocking come playoff time, and I think, everyone. Vegas is Vegas. Their production value, like what they do at those games, are the best in the league, and I think that Utah has really tried to to help grow the team and grow the game in Salt Lake since going there. That they've really put an emphasis on the building and the experience and all that. So I think just from a fan standpoint, like if you're in either of those buildings, but as a player too, playing, that's one of the best things about playoffs is playing in these fun environments. But um, I'm really going to be interested to see like the energy levels and all that because I think it's going to be two really awesome kind of I'll call them like newer age thinking in terms of like production value, and they really put a lot of stock in that. But as for the teams, uh, Utah, I think again is another one of those young teams that has finally gotten over the hump. Um, I always thought that the Keller Schmaltz combo was one of the more difficult duos to play against, especially as a defenseman. I mean, they're so good. They're skilled and they're good at becoming available for each other and finding lanes. They Utah themselves, but then also those two, they do a lot of east-west play, and I'll be interested to see how Vegas adjusts to that, and how successful all of that will be in the playoffs over the course of a series. If we talk about in-game adjustments, if there's anything that Vegas decides to do to help remedy that, but those two I always thought were really difficult to play against. So I'm excited to watch them on a bigger stage. As for Vegas, probably the team that I know the best. But what the team that they are right now versus 10 games ago is very evident in their record being 7-0-1 in their last eight since the coaching change. And we've talked about it. You've seen in their post-game pressers that Krim has talked about it, that they just felt that they had lost their spirit. And now, they certainly have that belief back. And that's what, we know that all 16 of these teams that are in it are good hockey teams. They've got a plethora of talent. There's a reason why they're there, but the the belief factor being back, I think that that's a very, very powerful and dangerous thing. Um, dangerous for the other teams and powerful for them. But I think, if so much about the playoffs is timing and hitting your stride at the right time. They've had Carter Hart there that has solidified in the crease, and I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine reading the tea leaves. I mean, he started what, six of the last seven games, I think. He's probably going to be their starter going in the playoffs, but I think they've been able to address certain things like that. The ads that they've made at the deadline have really solidified, kind of like Edmonton with Murphy and Dickinson. They brought in Dow, they brought in Smith, um, uh, and I just and then obviously Rasmus Anderson, but and then he's finding his stride. So it seems like everything is kind of coming together and at the right time for them, and they're believing in themselves again, and it's reflecting in their play. Beforehand, I think that there was a lot of hesitation in their game. And so even if it's just a half a second for each decision you make, then eventually then that slows down the team and then, the other team can take advantage of it. But that's been eliminated and I think Torts has been really good for them. So um, this one's going to be a fun one as well. And if I'm lucky, then maybe I'll find out later that I'll be working a couple games with Sharps coming up in the next couple weeks.
I
Yeah.
love it. It's going to be a good series. I think both of those teams are really fast, and really move the puck well. So you could see some big time trouble for both those teams. Really, really.
Yeah, I agree with that. Utah's a lot of fun to watch. Give you, and you hit it on the head. I watched them again last night. I know nothing last night meant anything to Utah, but their misdirection in the ozone, the ability for Smots and Keller to create something out of nothing, and
Mhm.
they gave Vegas problems with that. One thing that Vegas can kind of hang their hat on recently is another team that's really good and really fast laterally is Colorado. Vegas just played in Colorado last Saturday. So that's kind of a little bit of a reminder of, hey, Colorado's going to eat you up with seam passes. Utah's going to eat you up and with misdirection and seam passes. They love going laterally. But, one other thing about a bigger picture is the ownership in Utah, has been just come in and just gone full throttle, which you gotta love as a city and the fan base and as players. But he's in the conversation because when you ask him about what they need to do, he said we need to be able to find our own footing because we got a lot of Avalanche and a lot of Golden Knights fans that have been in the area, and so now they're at the same party as the Avs and the VGK. And so it'll be really interesting to see. But they're one of those stories like Philly and Buffalo and Ottawa that you're excited to see them. I mean, it wasn't that long ago these guys were playing in a 4,200 seat arena in Phoenix. So that's exciting. And not near as exciting as if I get up to Section 117 or Studio 31 and see Marty there, but pretty close.
Well, I'm excited to see the Zammoth. It's like every time I see when they unveiled that, like what was it, a couple weeks ago or something, maybe a week ago, my time's
Yeah.
all out of whack, but like I couldn't not see the Mutts Cuts van from Dumb and Dumber. Like that's all
That's really
like
funny.
with the fur of the Zam, and I'm just like we just we just need to follow it up with the old Mutts Cuts. On
That's
second thought, you might as well just he's like you might just want to run a comb through them. That's
this.
yeah. But no,
Hey,
I'm excited.
Didn't he trade the van off for the motorcycle?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
straight
good.
up. Get
Yeah,
50 miles to a gallon on this hog.
yeah. On this
That's
hog, I
awesome.
love
Hey,
it.
Marty, I do have a question for you before we let you run, though. So since you finished playing and you guys went charter everywhere, and you either had a nice big leather lazy boy window or aisle seat, you've kind of now you're giving back now because now that you're out of the game, you're
Oh my
giving
God.
back by sitting in other places and airplanes when you travel, namely middle seats. Are
Mhm.
you working on that, or what's the
Yeah.
difference between a middle seat and one of those other big recliners you used to sit in?
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling you're going to be going here with this. Yeah, Sharps and I have a good laugh. That yeah, it's there's been a significant fall from grace, I would say, in terms of my air travel since I've retired.
Since you
But
had to start buying your own tickets.
well, no, like yes, also yes, that's part of it. But then also, you're not necessarily as a broadcaster, and this is no disrespect to anyone, this is the way it goes, but you're just not getting the treatment that you do as a player.
That's awesome.
And so there's there's been talks that maybe I just change my middle name to 32B. And there's more the fact that it's my middle name and is consistently the middle seat on every
That's
flight
really
that I've
funny.
been on for my
Yeah.
broadcasting. So I actually reached out to Sharps and I said, "Hey man, like my ass is killing me on these seats." Like, and so he was a great guy. He sent me this like link to an Amazon memory foam that he uses up in the cockpit. But
That's
yeah,
funny.
it's gone from lazy boy to maybe like like a folding chair, but like the weaved old ones, not
Yeah.
like a cushion, like a
No, no.
SummerSlam, like WWE. Like at least that has a cushion, but I've gone from lazy boy
You know
to
what? You know what
sitting
you've
on the
gone from?
ground.
You've gone from PJ to basic economy is what you've done. That's what you've done.
Sure,
So,
sure have. I mean, but hey, I guess there are some perks at being right next to the bathroom in case you need to go.
Yeah, because if you ever want to get up, you can't because there's a lineup.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
exactly. You're just hemmed in.
Uh,
But no, it's been fun. I flew down to Puerto Vallarta for vacation, avoided the cartel, which was nice. But what I wasn't able to avoid was one of Sharple's mentees, and he gave me the story of how he got him a job with Alaska Air, and I got to sit up in the cockpit and get a picture with him and my son. And my son was very interested. He's 16 months old. He was very interested in all the buttons, and I was just like, for the love of God, please, just don't touch anything. And he's just reaching and grabbing. But it was funny that it was fun to go there, and everyone knew who Jeff was, including the flight attendants, and everyone, spoke highly of him,
Okay,
and
okay.
I certainly appreciate the Paloma that was sent back in a can about this big, uh, back to basic economy. I was flying with my in-laws, but yeah, it was great. We didn't give any to the kids, but we were able to take the edge off a little bit on a 3-hour flight with two
oh my
kids
God.
that won't stop squirming or sleep at
That's
all.
awesome.
So it was great, and I actually had the same flight attendant crew on the way back, so it made the trip a little bit more fun and went a little bit more smoothly. So thank you, Sharples, for the drink, and then also the opportunity to meet one of your buddies.
No, it was funny. When Marty says I'm going on your airline this morning, I'm like, so I happened to look it up, and Captain Mike Schneider. So I told Mike, I go, you got to answer your phone next time. But the next thing I know, I see a picture from Marty in the flight deck. So I figured you guys all worked it out. So that's good. Mike's a good guy. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he was a really good guy. We actually had a good chat that he lives out in Victorville.
yeah.
Out, yeah,
Jesus.
and so I brought up the thermometer.
Well, you know what? And we might as well throw a little pub his way. He has a little brewery out there called Off the Grid. Uh,
Wow.
That is Victorville.
yeah, Apple Valley, Off the Grid, and so if you're in the greater Victorville, Apple Valley, California area, go and say hi to Mike Schneider. And tell him that Marty said that that Mike would buy the first round. So see how that goes.
I can't wait to do it. I mean, I might be driving out to Vegas this week. Maybe I'll have to make a little pit stop.
Yeah, make a stop. Well, there's two stops that you have to make, but
He missed the game because he's hammered off the grid in Victorville.
well,
It
good.
would make my thermometer pictures, the fact that they're so blurry, it'd make it a little or it'd make a little more sense.
We're gonna put
But
one of your thermometer pictures up, Marty, for this show, so people can see how good you are at photography.
yeah, I've gotten better over the last year. I mean, I do the job or I do the drive consistently enough that I think I make that drive across the desert more than the cartel does. So
That's funny.
Well, they don't pick games Marty wants to do. They pick games based on what the traffic flow is. Hey, Marty, the traffic looks like it's going to be pretty good. Can you come in and do when Nashville's here? Well, I guess,
yeah, they try to give me the old reverse commute so I don't
yeah.
have to fight the traffic as much.
That's nice of them.
No
Yeah.
Sunday drives back to SoCal.
The only nice thing about stop and go traffic in Victorville is that I can get a real good zoomed in shot of the thermometer while
Yeah.
I'm sitting there
That's
gridlocked.
because you can get out of your car and walk for a bit and not even to not take your car out of drive and just let it glide up to you on the
Ex
back of somebody's bumper.
Yeah.
exactly. But
Thanks for coming on, Marty.
Thanks
Anything?
for coming, Marty.
Yeah. Anything else going on? So you're waiting to hear the games you're doing. Oh,
yeah,
hey, I know he's only one. Or is it your daughter's birthday today? Whose birthday?
daughter tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow one. I know she's only one, so I get the cupcakes. But are you sure that she wanted chicken parm as well? Like, did she order that?
The kids actually love pasta, but no, the chicken parm, that was solely dad.
That's
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
that's your specialty, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, we
So
have to. It's the night before a possible, if I'm working game one, I don't know, but just might have to parm it up at the kid's birthday party. It
Arm
gets
it
a little
up.
messy, but that's all right.
Arm it up.
hey, you got
Yeah.
a shout out before you go, Marty? It's we always throw it out. Mallard never says one, but you got
Yeah, he
anyone
does.
you
He
want to
always
shout
gives
out?
one. Mallard
Does
always
he?
gives one.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah, don't take. I
A
have to
shout
stick
out
up for
for
Mallard.
what?
Just
My
shout out to anybody, anything.
Oh. Um, well, I didn't do it last time, so I got to give a shout out to Dana. I saw him the other
Yes.
night. Um, I poked my head in and I had some choice words for him just to get his attention. He turns around, realizes it was me, but yeah. Yeah, so Dana, I mean I guess we got to give a shout out to Mallard too.
Okay.
But
Small shout out.
shout out to Captain Mike Schneider. He's
Okay.
he's he's
Nice.
he's probably 6 beers deep at his own brewery and about to hop on an Alaska Airlines flight to take me to Cabo. But
Takes him
Two
down.
things that you don't really want to associate with, but he's got a long drive before he gets to work. Is that what you're saying?
the
He gives
captain who owns a brewery. Yeah, okay.
he gives him a shout out and gets him fired.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
we never went on the radar of anyone before. Our highest rated show ever was our last. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay.
I got two, Jeff. I got
Mhm.
Trent's in. We're in Winnipeg, and Trent's Franson's in town, and we went to the game last night. And this is what they were throwing T-shirts, and one was coming right at Trent, and he put his hands up like this and went right through and hit the kid in the back. It was great.
Okay.
And then the other shout out is actually not from me. It's from the Hendry family. They wanted to give a shout out to the Sharples family for a great vacation they had in Las Vegas, and they just want to thank you guys for taking such great care of them.
Yeah,
So,
the Trevor and Denise, they're the best. Two unbelievable people. So we got to spend some time with them, and then they got to spend some time with Flats when he was in with Winnipeg. Okay, I got to get going here on my shows. Marty already kind of let the cat out of the bag, but I got to shout out the Baker thermometer because if there's one thing that our friendships founded on, and that's the Baker thermometer. Me. Marty, Mallard, and Taylor, the producer for the show. We always have a good time with that. I got to give a shout out to Neil Smith. Neil Smith was great to me in my time in Detroit. I don't want to take Neil down. And anybody that has a red Corvette, we're going to shout you out today too. Thanks. Thanks to anyone that drives a red Corvette because
Well,
it's given me years of stories. And every time I see one, I think of Neil. So.
well, then I'll piggyback off that and shout out to the Corvette plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky. That's where they make
oh
them all.
wow,
So shout
wow,
out to the crew that's slinging those things together and bringing us joy in more ways than they even know.
my
All
God.
right.
Then I'll
All
give a
right.
shout out to Dick Kilborn and his red Corvette.
No,
Nice.
not a chance. Love to all.
Love to all.